If you're trying to decide what ammo is best to carry in your everyday carry weapon, well, let me tell you that not all ammo is the same, and carrying the wrong ammo could have some devastating results. Stick around and let you know what I decided to carry in my everyday carry weapon, right here on Florida Responsible Carry. Hey, Steve here, and welcome to Responsible Florida Carry. My objective in these videos is to give you an insight of what is best for everyday carry and how to be responsible when you are actually legally carrying a firearm. So today we're going to be discussing which ammunition is best for your everyday carry, at least in my opinion, what ammo I have chosen to carry. So let's go ahead and get into it. There are two different types of ammunition that are normally carried in your everyday weapon, or everyday carry weapon that is, and that can be either the jacketed hollow point or the full metal jacket. Now I've chosen to carry the jacketed hollow point for a reason, and let me show you a comparison of the two types of bullets we're talking about here. Okay, here we have a photograph of a jacketed hollow point and a full metal jacket bullet. And we're just going to go ahead and start with the full metal jacket here on the right. As the name implies, it's got a full metal jacket. It's complete brass. Some of these brass bullets actually are hollow and have lead inside. Some are completely 100% solid brass. Now, they are great for target practicing. You can use them for self-defense, but I wouldn't recommend it for these following reasons. A full metal jacket bullet has a tendency not to want to stop inside of the target. It wants to pass completely through the target, and therefore if you were shooting a bad guy, if you had a life and death situation where you had to shoot and it passed through the bad guy, it could jeopardize innocent people behind the target itself or to the side, anywhere around the target or the bad guy, so to speak. They could be in jeopardy of being hit as well, because the full metal jackets do not want to stop unless they hit a solid bone like a spine or something like that. They're going to go right through the soft tissue, and they're just going to pass on through and hit anything behind it. Even if there's a wall there, if the wall's thin enough, like in an apartment complex, the bullet can pass through the wall and hit an innocent bystander on the other side of the wall. Also, additionally, if the bullet happens to deflect itself off of bone, like a rib or something like that, it could exit the body not straight forward, but at an angle, and therefore anybody to the left or right, up, down, whatever of the bad guy could be in jeopardy of being hit. And you want to be aware of what is behind your target at all times. Just don't shoot until you know what is behind your target. You have to be aware of where you're shooting and what's beyond the target itself before you shoot. I would much rather wait a couple of minutes or seconds, I guess, not minutes, but a couple of seconds to see if I can get a clear shot and make sure I don't hit anybody behind them. Even if I was using a jacketed hollow point, I don't want anybody behind the target if all possible. If I can wait just a few seconds and it gives me a better chance of taking the target down without jeopardizing anyone else, that's what I'm going to do. So that's why I don't use jacketed hollow points. Full metal jackets as self-defense bullets, because there's too much risk of collateral damage. Now let's go ahead and look at the shell or the bullet on the left here, and that is the jacketed hollow point. And as the name implies, it's hollow on the inside, again with lead on the inside. You'll see the serrates here, the little cuts here, that actually aids in the shell expanding when it hits the target. When it hits the target and it opens up, it turns into like a little buzzsaw. It tumbles and cuts through all the soft tissue, and it causes more damage and more bleeding, and the target's going to bleed out. And actually bleeding out is what brings the target down. It's not one shot kills. It's the bleed out that it drains the brain, that is, of the blood pressure. Blood pressure drops, target goes down. And that's what we're looking for. We want to take the target down as soon as possible and as efficiently as possible, and with less chance of hurting anybody, any other collateral damage. Now, this next slide is actually several different types of rounds of the full metal jacket on the top, and the different degrees of how it's been compressed depending on the density of the target it hits. Now, if it hits soft tissue, it's probably not going to be damaged at all. It may come out clean just like it came out of the factory. But if it hits bone or something like that, you may get a slight indentation. Of course, the harder the target that the bullet strikes, the more it's going to compress the top or the tip of the bullet itself. Now, below that, we have the jacketed hollow points, and this is from the underside of the bullet itself, showing how it is mushroomed out and kind of spread out, as you can see. And all this does here is this is spinning and turning inside the target itself, damaging the soft tissues and actually causing the bad guy or whatever to bleed out. Right over here, the far right, is just the flip version of the mushroomed out shell. And as you can tell, it looks like a mushroom. That's why they call it mushroomed out. Now, strangely enough, though, some of these shells, they can be shot in certain targets or certain type of material, that is, where they will form a perfect mushroom and flowering effect. And actually, some of these flowering effects have actually been used as jewelry. Take this 9mm right here. That's really not a bad looking piece of artwork, so to speak, considering that was shot out of a 9mm. Don't know what the weapon was, but it's 9mm, at least I know that. But again, this demonstrates how this can be really kind of lethal to your target, because all these edges are sharp, including the brass here. You got the lead here, and this has been polished up and cleaned up really nice. It actually is a pendant, probably somebody's wearing it somewhere. But as you can see, these like little tiny saws that go around, and in doing so, when it enters the target, it takes the target down. I'm not going to say one shot will do it. That's Hollywood. Sometimes it takes more. But depending on where you hit, it will take the target down, cause the target to bleed out, and there is far, far less chance of this type of round passing through your target and hitting some innocent bystander or some property somewhere. Okay, well, there you have it. That's my decision for what I carry in my everyday carry weapon, the jacketed hollow point. And for reasons I spoke quite clearly of, is you don't want your bullet to pass through your target and possibly hit another human being or take out some property. Of course, again, the property, like I said, you can be replaced. But you take down somebody you didn't mean to take down, and well, you're not going to be able to replace that, and that's something you'll regret the rest of your life. So you've got to be aware of what is beyond your target in all situations, and you've got to do it in a split-second notice and decision. Is it worth trying to take down a target that's coming after you if there's a possibility of you taking out somebody else, by accident? No, it's not. Wait until you have a clean line of fire. If you have to fire, if all things, you don't want to have to fire if you can get away with it. But if you got down to that point where you have no other option, no other means of escape or self-defense, and you have to take the target down, then you have to take the target down. But again, just be completely aware of what's around your target. You've got to be aware of your environment, which is where your situational awareness comes into play, and you have to constantly keep that on the top of your mind. And something you've got to constantly practice every day by being aware of your surroundings and what should happen if you would have to pull your weapon and fire. Again, this is what my ammo of choice is, and I hope you know that it should be yours as well. If you want to carry the full metal jacket, just remember the consequences. They're great for target practice. If you have no jacketed hollow point, you're in a dire situation, of course, go ahead and use it, but my choice is to go ahead and use this jacketed hollow point. Well, I hope this information has been helpful to you, and if you haven't already, go ahead and share this information and subscribe to my channel if you haven't, that is, and click that bell there to be notified of some upcoming videos. I'm going to be working on some other videos regarding self-defense and other topics of interest that hopefully will benefit the new shooter as well as the advanced and seasoned shooter. Until later, this is Steve for Florida Responsible Carry. Have a good one.